right, let's go ahead and get started.
How about this?
Adrian, we're lecturing. Okay, I want you to look up this table first. All right. Notice how the powers are increasing.
Yeah.
So the flip side of a number line, right? Power to 3, 2, 1, 0, negative 1, negative 2, negative 3. Now we covered these, right? And coming down to the final solved problem, that this becomes 1, 10 times 10, and it goes down into a fraction. 10 times 10 is 100. So this is all the stuff we covered the last lesson. This stuff you should know this as well. 10 to the third is 1,000. There's nothing special here. It's just an exponent, and this is the value. Any questions so far?
No.
Okay. Notice I put a tool up here. This makes it easier. All right. If you're going from 10, 3 to 10, 2, you can divide by 10. 10 to 1, divide by 10, and so on. Okay? 0 is always 1. So if you're dividing and you're going from left to right, that's how you can figure out what the next one is without having to do all the math. Same thing here. Obviously just multiplying by 10, right? 1 multiplied by 10 is 10. 10 times 10 is 100. 100 times 10 is 1,000. So in a table form, you're multiplying by 10 or dividing by 10 depending on the direction that's going. Are we clear on that?
Yes, sir.
Okay, now the next part, most important part, is how to break down positive and negative integers. Okay? So, first we're doing a positive integer. On a number line, what direction is positive?
Right.
Yes, right. Left is negative. Okay? So, essentially what we're doing here is we're writing 1. And then we're going to count the decimal place 4 spots over. So 1, 2, 3, 4, our number is 10,000. Do we need to do any math? No. Nope. Any questions on that one? The exponent tells you where to move it. Start with 1. 1, decimal place, move the decimal place over 4 times. Negative. Now negative you want to write a little bit different. You're still writing 1, and you're putting your decimal place, and now you're going to the left. What direction is negative on a number line?
Left side.
Yes. So here, we're 10 to negative 6. We know this is how we write this. This is what we covered in the last lesson, right?
Yes.
So from this decimal place, we're going to count 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. This is where my new decimal place goes. Here's my final answer. Any questions? Yeah, 6 of them to be exact. Okay, moving on. Now notice, negative, go this direction. Go this direction. Positive, go to the right. Yes?
I thought you had to put a 0 in front of the period after you move it. You mean on 1? Yeah. No.
Look, we start with point 1. Just like we started with point 1, okay? Now, I'll tell you, when you know it's negative, you've got to write the problem over here. Because if I write it here, am I going to have enough room? No. So, I started with the same on both these. So point 1, I go over 4, right? When it comes to negative, I start point, and then 1, the decimals are going this way. Now, why is the decimal on this side versus on that side?
Because that's a negative.
Very good. Plus 1, positive. 1 point, negative. Okay? There's just, the 1 is on this side, the 1 is on this side, the decimal place.
Oh, you mean like after that, after you're already finished with the dot, why isn't that one number again?
Yeah.
On the other side of the,
There,
yeah, why?
well, what would the number be? 0?
That's his question.
It's not important.
Okay.
But as far as these numbers, these are ones that we're counting. So watch this. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. There's 5, right? But 6 places. Because we can't get rid of the point 1. Okay? So whatever this number is, we can use this number and move the decimal place 6 times. Okay, another example, 10 to negative 3. You guys know how to do this. At this point, you take the 10 and 3 and put it on the bottom, gets rid of the negative. And then when it's negative, we're point and then 1, counter spot 3 places to the left. There's our answer. That's our final answer. So negative 10 to 3, this is the final answer. Are we clear so far? So positive to the what direction? Negative to the, okay, and then how do we start our numbers? Negative is 1 point, okay? Well, notice it's the same. It's the same here, it's the same here, it's the same here. Okay? Just wherever this is from the 1 determines the direction that we need to go, how many spaces. Right, Eddie?
Yeah.
Good. Okay, 0. What is it to 0?
1.
1,
Always?
always.
Always. No matter what the number is, even if it's decimal, even if it's a fraction. If it's the power of 0, we know it's always 1. Yes? Good. Okay, now, writing in powers, okay? So we have a number here of 10 million, right? All we're going to do is we're going to count the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. We're 7, right? 7 zeros, so we write 10 to the 7.
So we just went
7.
backwards from that one.
Correct. And see, this will tell you, and this will tell you, but this is an easy way to do it too. Just count your zeros. Start from here, start to count them. Stop before you get to the 1, because the 1 is represented in the problem. So we get to this one, same thing. We're point and we're 3, right? Now, when it comes to negatives, you're counting all spots. When it comes to the power, the number is relative right here, right? We're 7 to the 0, that's the 8th spot, but this is how we write it. Make sense? Because wouldn't this number be completely different? Someone say yes?
Yeah.
See that? Makes a big difference, right? So we need that 10. So we're counting the zeros. Here, when it comes to negative, we're counting all the spaces. Doesn't matter the zeros. So 3 spaces. 10, because it's 1. 10, negative 3. Any questions so far? Pretty easy, right? Okay. Multiplying by the power of 10. Well, obviously, if it's 1, it's itself, right? These 2 problems are exactly how we do this. Now, let me see all eyes up, because it's going to be important. We take the number, okay? We rewrite the number. And from this decimal place, we're going to move the decimal place depending on what's happening here. This is 10 to the 6th. So that means we're going to go over 10 spots because it's a decimal place. Okay, so 1, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. There's our number. We're done. Now, when we're done with this, we got to put our commas in, right? Because this 9.86 now becomes 97,860,000, right? So this is the final answer. Now, once again, this is pretty much the same thing. It's telling us take this number, and from this, move the decimal place to the right, because it's positive, 6 times, right? 6 times. Moves the number over. This becomes our new decimal place. Write in your commas. Any questions on the first one? Just moving decimal places, right?
Yes, sir.
Why do you think this is important?
What is important?
When you start to get these numbers, they won't fit in the calculator anymore. And that's why we use powers. In science, typically the calculations are very, very large. Okay, so this is why you use, and thus the reason why they call it scientific notation. Okay, next one. 9.5 times 10 to negative 4. Now, you're doing the exact same thing, except it's negative, so you're moving to the
Left.
left. So we're going to write this number. Now I'll tell you a little tip. See how far I wrote this over? You want to write negatives over because you've got to go to the left. On here, it really doesn't matter, right? Doesn't matter how many spaces are. We have room. So you want to leave yourself room in here. If I were just to write it right here, I wouldn't have enough room. So I know I'm going over 4 from the decimal place. Remember, this doesn't just count the zeros. This counts the actual places. Okay? So we're going to go from this 19.5. We're going to take this decimal place and we're going to move it over 4. 1, 2, 3, 4. There's our decimal place. This is our final answer. So 19.5 times 10 to negative 4 is 0.00195. Any questions?
No.
Okay, let's go through this real quick. Table. If we're going 10, 3, 1, and we're heading negative, we're just going to keep dividing by 10. If we're increasing, we're multiplying by 10, right? We take the number and multiply it by 10. That sets up our table for scientific notation. When it comes to positive, we're moving it to the right. We're counting the zeros, okay? Or where we're moving the decimal places. Negative, we're counting the places. Doesn't matter the numbers. It's how many places there are, not just zeros, okay? You guys know how to do this. The only thing different is coming down to the final answer of this right here. Is that we're taking 0.1, we're moving the decimal place 3 times, and here's our final answer. Positive, 10 to 2, we start with 1. We have 2 zeros, so the answer is 100. Is 10 times 10 100? Sure. and 10 to the 0. Eddie told us what that is. What's always that number to 0, Eddie? Go. Your time to shine. Yes, always 1, no matter what the number is. Okay, writing powers. Taking the numbers, counting the zeros. Okay? So we're going to take 10. We're going to count the zeros. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 10 to the 7. Decimals or a negative number. Remember, a decimal is a negative number. Are we clear on that? So 0.001, we're counting the places. 1, 2, 3. We know it's negative because this decimal place, this side is positive when it comes to another number, and decimal is a portion of a number. So this becomes 10 because this is 1 right here. 3 spots, -3. Multiplying, you're just taking your number, rewriting it, and then from that decimal place, moving it however many powers it shows. Okay, so from this, we're moving it over 6, rewriting it with our commas in it. Negative, same thing. Make sure you leave yourself enough space to move to the left-hand side. Write your number, 19.5. Move it 4 decimal places. That's your final answer. Okay, so you have a very easy do now, right?
Yes, sir.
You're going to write this as a power, this is a power. You're going to multiply this one. You're going to write this one as a power. Scientific notation, multiply this one out. Do me a favor, flip over your notes for a second. So, some of you got your notes done on Friday, right? You want to be turning in your do now. And then your worksheet, it tells you specifically what you're doing here. These, you're solving and writing these out. So these ones are the ones you're moving the decimal place. These ones you're writing in scientific notation, right? So you're counting your zeros and writing it to whatever place it is. This one, the same thing, you're coming to the final answer. So you're kind of doing the same thing. Let me explain what 23 and 24 is saying. Don't worry about 25 through 27. 23 through 24 is important. You're writing these from greatest to least, okay? So largest number to the smallest. So you want to look at those numbers and figure it out. Well, first thing, look at the first one. They're all to the power of 10, right? But your numbers are going to change. So if you're 10, -4, you're -1 on 1, -4, 2, -3, and 2. You're going to solve those, and you're going to put them in order to. Oh no, this is asking from least to greatest. So from smallest to greatest. Okay? Do we understand what we're doing there?
Yes.
It's just a bunch of problems in one, and then list them in order. You're doing the same thing for 24. Okay, make miracles happen. Yes. Okay, is there any questions on this? Eddie, you ready to shine?
No.
Why not? Everything was put in front of you. Student mode, sir.